doesn't work anymore, Gavin. The hair slicker and the vet, all that doesn't work. Every once in a while, you put on your Abercrombie and Fish work clothes and you go out by that nightmare train yard by the port of LA, or he goes to the Paradise Fire and he digs a little ash and puts it in a bucket or something. It doesn't work anymore. You're just a total failure. You destroyed the most successful, most beautiful state in the world. And the only reason it's even viable is because people unlike you, Pat Brown, who was a Democrat, but he was a good governor, Ronald Reagan, George DeMasian, Pete Wilson, they built the state. And you're living on their work and you're trying to destroy it, but they were so, I don't know, so industrious and so imaginative.
Historian and political firebrand Victor Davis Hanson has just torched Gavin Newsom's quiet climb toward the Democratic presidential ticket, and his warnings are anything but mild. Newsom appears to be picking up steam with more Democrats, suddenly cozying up to him. But Victor isn't buying the hype. His take brutal, brilliant, and downright alarming. Trust me, you won't believe what he said. And as always, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss another scorcher like this clip.
Is part of this that voters are so fed up with what they see on the streets of their cities that as a politician, you've got to clean up those streets?
Yeah, well, that's generally the case, but that's not the inspiration for Care Court.
But is there a political factor in this for you?
As an electoral strategy, I'm termed out. That's not the issue. The politics here is compassion. The politics is...
I'll play the Victor Davis clip in a moment. But first I had to roll this gem to set the scene, because without it, you might not fully grasp just how blistering Davis's takedown is. In the clip we just watched, Newsom got grilled over his shiny new Care Court scheme, the one supposedly designed to magically vanish California's homeless crisis. He was asked fairly if this was just a PR stunt to grease his political fortunes. But true to form, Gavin went right past the question in a flurry of poetic dodges. That's his brand. Endless word salads, zero answers. Thankfully, the interviewer didn't back down.
You may be termed out here, but does cleaning up the streets of California factor into a potential presidential run?
I'm never going to overpromise that in the short run. I mean, we are struggling in this state.
You're not answering my question.
Homelessness. No, housing and homelessness.
People suggest that cleaning up California streets could be part of a larger political strategy for you.
I think that's table stakes. I think that's just the foundational responsibility of anyone that gets into my position. That's the day job. It's not about some grand ambition. Absolutely not.
Is that a yes or a no?
That was a never-ending response to your question.
I tip my hat no. I launch it at this interviewer for actually cornering Gavin Newsom into admitting, if only slightly, that he was dishing out a steaming pile of word salad just to dodge the question. That's no small feat, Naomi, like every other top-tier Democrat, has mastered the art of talking in circles, sounding profound while saying absolutely nothing. It's all performance, poetic jargon, progressive buzzwords, and just enough self-righteous flair to keep the woke mob applauding. Meanwhile, real problems, homelessness, mental health, crumbling infrastructure get tossed aside like yesterday's talking points. These guys are too busy playing optics chess to do their actual jobs. And Newsom, he's king of the salad bar. In comes Victor Davis Hanson's searing takedown clip. For Victor Davis Hanson doesn't pull any punches. He believes Gavin Newsom has unleashed more destruction on California than anyone could have imagined in their worst political nightmares. According to Hanson, Newsom hasn't just mismanaged the state, he's presided over a slow-motion disaster. After more than 3 decades in politics, what does Newsom have to show for it? Skyrocketing homelessness, spiraling crime, decaying cities, and streets that look more like war zones than world-class communities. California, once the golden beacon of the American dream, is now bleeding residents who are fleeing crushing taxes, outrageous housing costs, and a suffocating regulatory state. And through it all, Newsom smiles for the cameras, boasts about progress, and continues climbing the political ladder, as if torching the 5th largest economy in the world were a resume booster. Hanson's take is clear. California is better off without it.
Remember, as I said earlier, no one person is more responsible for California's decline than Gavin Newsom.
If Gavin Newsom didn't just chase the oil industry out of California, driving fuel prices through the roof. He also managed to strangle the lifeblood of Hollywood, the film industry. That's right. The man who claims to be all about innovation buried California's iconic movie business under layers of bloated bureaucracy, sky-high taxes, and virtue signaling. Regulations. It's the same playbook he used to demonize success, overregulate it, and then act shocked when it leaves. Filmmakers fed up with red tape and budget-busting costs have packed their bags and fled. You'd be stunned to learn. It's now cheaper to fly an entire cast and crew to Europe. Yes, across the Atlantic than to film a project in Newsom's California. The state that once symbolized cinematic magic has been reduced to a regulatory graveyard. Hollywood didn't die a natural death. It was taxed, lectured, and regulated into exile. And Newsom handed it the shovel clips.
So he's more responsible, and he has been overseeing all the regulations that we're going to get rid of refineries. And he bullied them and bullied them and bullied them. You got to have the California Air Resources Board does this, and you have to have this blend, and you have to do that. And finally they said, you know what? We're going to go somewhere else. You keep importing oil from the Saudis, and you're going to have to, import gas from Nevada or, I don't know, Arizona. Go ahead, and Texas. I don't know, but we're not going to do it anymore. And that whole Richmond corridor for Northern California, they're going to leave. And gas will go up to about $8 a gallon, and all the left-wing millionaires along the coastal corridor will be happy. But he's going to panic because they're going to look at that when he wants to run for president, and his Democratic primary rivals will bring it up. What's the price of That's what Ron DeSantis did when he beat him in that debate.
Hanson continues his verbal evisceration of Gavin Newsom. He's calling him corrupt, incompetent, and utterly inefficient. Newsom has held the reins to billions in taxpayer funds. Yet what tangible results can he point to? Believe it or not, the California high-speed rail project has seen only about $13 billion spent so far. And despite that massive outlay, no completed stations, no operational route, and barely any track laid. Originally pitched with a $33 billion price tag and a 2020 completion date, the project is now floating around $106 to $128 billion and limps slow toward completion in the 2030s. Development has crawled along at a snail's pace. Merely a 171-mile central valley stretch in active construction with tracks still pending. Hanson's point is sharp and simple. Cannot boast about investing billions when the train to nowhere keeps stalling. Isn't leadership, it's fiscal insanity. If Newsom can't manage a train line, how does he expect to run a country clip? Hanson doesn't mince words. He flat out accuses Gavin Newsom of running California into the ground since taking office. Hasn't lifted the state up, he's dragged it down. Infrastructure is crumbling, the economy is floundering, public debt is ballooning, crime is rising, and the streets filthy. California, once the envy of the nation, is now a cautionary tale of failed leadership and performative politics. Newsom has overseen some of the worst wildfires in the state's history. Thanks to neglected fire prevention and mismanaged water resources, and let's not forget the anti-ECA protests. Only in Newsom's California could activism spiral so far out of control that it triggered a national emergency. Under his watch, chaos isn't the exception, it's the norm. Hanson's message is crystal clear. Newsom's tenure has been a disaster, and the only thing he successfully built is a growing list of reasons why he should never set foot near the...
What's the price of gas? How many people have left California versus Florida? What's your tax rate versus ours? Here's how many people you have, and here's your budget, and here's how many people we have in our budget. And he's done all of that. And so, remember that line in Animal House where, what was that guy's name? I know everybody knows. Dean Wormel, or what? Wormer? Yeah, he says to the fat
Dean Wormer.
Going through life fat, lazy, and ugly. Or is that what he says? Fat, ugly, and lazy is nowhere to go through life. I feel like somebody should say being incoherent, incompetent, and I don't know what else, corrupt is no way to go through being a governor.
This is exactly why so many Americans believe Gavin Newsom would make a terrible president if he ever gets the Democratic nod. Unlike King Midas, who turned everything to gold, everything Newsom touches seems to rot. From crumbling infrastructure and rising crime in California to the disastrous mismanagement of wildfires and water resources, his record speaks for itself. And now, in a painfully obvious PR stunt, he's launched a podcast because apparently, that's what failed governors do when they're eyeing the Oval Office. He claims the podcast is meant to foster bipartisan conversations and hear every voice that matters. But let's be honest, no one's buying it. It reeks of political ambition. Disguised as outreach, voters see it for what it is. Another vanity project designed to polish his image ahead of a potential 2028 run. If this podcast is part of his presidential audition, it's not helping. It's just more fluff. Less leadership lip.
Everything you've done from high-speed rail to the tax rate at 13.3 to gasoline tax that you're now increasing, it's going to be it is the highest in the nation, to 40 cents a kilowatt, to Stonehenge high-speed rail, we drove home today from Menlo Park on the 152 from Gilroy to Casa de Fruta. It hasn't changed in 60 years. 70 years. I remember going 3 or 4 years.
This verbal evisceration must have burned, because it hits where it hurts. Gavin Newsom isn't some self-made political genius. He's the poster child for elite nepotism. Let's call it what it is. The man is a nepo baby propped up by his deep Decatur-style long ties to the ultra-powerful Getty family. His father was tight with Gordon Getty, and Gavin was practically raised in the family's golden circle. It's not a bootstrap story. That's a silver platter. It's no wonder he's climbed the political ladder so fast, even while leaving a trail of incompetence in his wake. Homelessness is up, crime is up, wildfires out of control, and yet here he is, still smiling for cameras, still dreaming of the White House. The only thing more baffling than his failures is how far he's gotten despite them. Strip away the Getty fortune, and Newsom's political career would collapse like a house of cards.
I remember going 3 or 4 years old, and that's your legacy. And the LA fire, the Aspen fire, the Paradise fire, all of that, you took paradise and you made it into purgatory. That's what you did. And then you, every once in a while, went to Napa wine tasting while people were trying to get a permit in LA, and you went to the French Laundry while you shut down everybody else.
By every measurable standard, Gavin Newsom has been a complete failure as governor of California. And thankfully, his time in office is almost up, but instead of quietly exiting stage left, he's setting his sights on the presidency. Yes, really, it's the Democratic Party. Here's some unsolicited but necessary advice. Do not make this man your 2028 candidate. If you do, you're handing the election to the GOP on a silver platter. Newsom's track record is a political liability. Skyrocketing homelessness, unchecked crime, out-of-control wildfires, mass exodus of residents, and billions wasted on vanity projects like the high-speed rail to nowhere. If this is what leadership looks like under Newsom, imagine the disaster he'd bring to the national stage. Electing him would be a gift to every Republican strategist in the country. The Democrats need a candidate who delivers results, not just one who delivers rehearsed sound bites and dodges accountability. Gavin Newsom's record is a walking red flag, propped up by privilege, riddled with failure, and dressed in media spin. From botched state policies to shameless self-promotion, he's proven unfit to lead at the state level, let alone the national stage. If Democrats are serious about winning in 2028, they'd be wise to look elsewhere. Because with Newsom at the helm, it's not just a gamble, it's political suicide. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you loved our spicy commentary, then hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.